Tzvi. We have Tzvi Rosen here. Welcome to our Amud Yomi. It's not really Amud Yomi, but I think we'll go through an Amud today. Welcome to our Gemara Shir Kufi Tes Shabbos, famous Amud with a lot of very interesting Agadata and Halacha about Shabbos, the beauty of Shabbos, how one has to prepare for Shabbos by himself. Do it yourself when it comes to Shabbos, the beautiful classical story of Yosef Mokir Shabbos. Yeah, I think first time I heard it, I was like 3 years old, and it never changed. So this year's Leilu Nishmas, my father, Menachem ben Akiva, Rus bas Shalom, Sol bas Moshe, Latzlochas, Noch Binyamin ben Yocheved, Ulatzlochas, Kol Klal Yisrael. Everybody who's fighting, everybody who's needs Yeshua should get it very, very soon, Bezos Hashem. Kufi Tes Amud Aleph. We are in the sixth or so line from the top of the page. Rabbi Chanina me'atef v'kai apanya demal shabsa. Rabbi Chanina would be mis'atef. Rabbi Chanina would cover himself with like an outer garment, like a cloak. Like today we have kapet and overgarment. Yeah, v'kai, and he would stand apanya demal shabsa on the erev Shabbos, Friday afternoon. He would stand right, and Rashi says mis'atef bivgodim noim. He would, basically put on nice clothes. As we know, you have to have special nice clothes for Shabbos. And Kaya Panid Mal Shabbos, the evening towards Mal Shabbos, towards the entrance of Shabbos, as Shabbos is about to come in, Omar, and he said, Bo v'netz Shabbos Amalka. Let's go out to greet Shabbos Amalka. So I saw the Meforshim that basically told everyone to finish off what they have to do and better be ready for Shabbos early with your clothes nice and elegant clothes, and come to welcome the Queen Shabbos. Now let's compare between this and the following statement. Rabbi Yanai, on the other hand, Rabbi Yanai lo vishmani, he would wear his clothes Mali Shabbos. Yeah, there's a girsa here, Mani be Mali Shabbos. Also, his clothes he would wear B'Mali Shabbos. I think that is later, as Shabbos is coming in. The Omar, and you would say, boy kala, come kala, come O bride, as we say in Lecho Doidi. And Rashi says, Hachi kala l'shvil Shabbos mitoch chavivus. You would say, boy kala, to show the chavivus of Shabbos. So Pashtus, boy kala, right, what's the chavivus? It's coming to tell you, kala. The kala is, yesterday we were at the wedding, right, of one of the members of the Shir, the son. The kala is chaviv al baila, the chosan, the kala is beloved by the chosan, so we call Shabbos kala. But then, Abuch Shekivanti, Rav Steinman, and even people before him say that what Rashi means chavivus is the double, boy kala, twice. Just like we see in the Akedah, Avrom, when Hashem called Avrom twice, that's a sign of chavivus. Yeah, so that's why we say double boikalo. Other people say boikalo comes to address the two malachim that come with a person from Shul and Shabbos. And we know that Shabbos is all about duality. Shabbos is Zochar v'Shomer. But the interesting thing is, I saw in the Mefoshim on the Ein Yaakov, you see that these are two different names for Shabbos. One is Malka and one is Kala. Shabbos Malka and Shabbos Kala. So interestingly enough, look at the difference of the words. Rabbi Chanina in the first story, he would mi'atif, wear nice clothes, and he would, right, stand and say, Bo v'neitze, we should go out towards the Queen Shabbos. The other one, Rabbi Yanai, would say, Boi kala, come bride. It's the opposite. In other words, when it's the Malka, we say, go out towards the Queen. And the Kala, we say, come bride. Why? Because really Shabbos is both bechinas, Malka and Kala. We can talk about it for like 3 hours, which we don't have, and only say bekitzer. Malka, right? Shabbos to Malka. You don't tell the king, hey, get over here. That's not nice. You have a king, a choshev or shishiva rebbe. You won't tell him, do you mind coming over here? What kind of chutzpah is that, right? It's not nice. So to the Malka, the bechinas Malka, he said, let's go out towards the Malka. The bechina of Kala, it's like the broom, the groom, the chosan calls the Kala and tells her, come, right? Come to where I am, come to my house. He invites her, she comes towards him. Also, the way chuppah is, she comes to him, she follows him. Because really have both bechinas. Shabbos is a Malka, Shimshon Pinchas says the entire Sefer about that the Melech is real. Bechinas Malchus is when everything comes to to fruition, to practice. The practical midah of all 7 spheres or 10 spheres is Malchus when things are coming to Tachlis. The Tachlis of the entire Bria is Shabbos. Shabbos is the most active day of the week, spiritually. That's when the entire preparation of Ruchnis of the whole week comes to Lamaisa. It's Shabbos, it's Malchus. Kala, Rav Hirsch says, Kala is also comes with Tachlis. Kala is like to finish, not to finish, Kala means that the Kala, when she gets married, she really now came to her tafkid. The entire life she prepared to become a woman and mother. That's what's called the Kala. And so it's Shabbos. It's a day when things come to the tachlis. That's a little bit of a. I also thought afterwards myself, mi'ataf is nicer clothes because when you come towards the king, you have to be dressed even nicer. The second one doesn't say mi'ataf; it says lovish money. It's interesting. The first one, when it's malchus, you have to look nice in front of the king. You have to look elegant, like in tefillah, oimed lefnei melech. The second bchina of kala, okay, I don't owe that much to her, so that's all these diukim are interesting. Rabba bar Avuna, next story. Rabba bar Avuna ikla lebei Rabba bar Rav Nachman. Rabba bar Avuna came to the house of Rabba bar Rav Nachman. Kibulei tlas savi tachye. So the Rishonim explain, Rashi and others, they gave him 3 soim, like some Rishonim say 3 baskets full of like the say lachmanios, of like nice small breads or cakes, which were also smeared with shuman or shuman alia, which is fleshik, or shemen or oil. Yeah, so that is like very 3 baskets full of buns, yeah, of rolls, and they were like with nice fine oil or shuman. Soon I'm going to tell you why I stress it so much, the fatty oil or the fleshik. Omar Le, he told them, Mihavi yadatu datina, did you know that I'm going to come? In other words, yeah, he realized that they think is a chosh of a guest. How come you have all of a sudden so much bread, so much, food to give me? Well, what's going on here? Omar Le, so they told him, Miadifat lan mino, do you think you're better, in our eyes, do you think you're better than her? Who's her? Shabbos. In other words, the Rishonim explained it was Shabbos. This took place on Shabbos. And therefore, they told him, no, we didn't know you were about to come, but every Shabbos we have so much food. Why 3 savi? For 3 sudas. For 3 sudas, you have to have bread in each and every suda. That's why. And you. In other words, it's not that we prepared it for you because it's anyhow Shabbos. It's not like we eat so much food and we didn't know that you were coming, but because today is Shabbos, we anyhow prepare a lot of food. Then I saw in the David Prado, very interesting pshat, he said, why do we stress that it was fleshik, makesher? Because you're not allowed to bake fleshik or milchik bread unless you make a clear siman that this is so. It's halacha in Shulchan Aruch, based on Gemara in Pesachim, around Lamed, yeah? Why? Because if you have bread that's milchik or fleshik, people don't know, they'll eat it with butter or with meat. So now, the only heter, it says in the Gemara in Halacha, one of the heterim is if you make a small amount that you quickly finish, you make yourself 2 or 3 little rolls of little ones of milchik bread, and you'll finish them right away. So there won't be a michshol. So now they're asking him, he was asking them, yeah, you're making all this fleshik bread, right? You made so much of it, right? You should have made much less, right? So you knew that I'm coming? They said, no, we usually don't prepare, but we're going to finish all that food straight away in one day. So it's takimutar, mitzad having a fleshig meal, a fleshig bread, because we know that's allotted just for Shabbos, and then we'll finish, and we're done, and nobody else will eat from it. That's why it's mutar mitzad basa b'cholov. It's still relatively small amount because in Shabbos you eat a lot. So for Shabbos, that's a proper amount. Weiter. Three
for like a Mishnah.
Yeah, but also the other people ate. Each one. Yeah, probably something like that. Weiter. Rabbi Abba, I'm sorry to stop 1 second. 1 second. Yeah, next story. Rabbi Abba bought, Zaben sometimes means to sell or to buy. In this context means he bought Betleisar Istiri Pshiti in 13 different matbeos, which is half a dinar each, not a small amount of money. Yeah. Betleisar Istiri Pshiti Bisra, meat. We're talking here Erev Shabbos. He would buy with 13 different coins, Mitleisar Tabachi, from 13 different butchers. He would buy meat for Shabbos. Umashlim le'otzinor dedasha. Two explanations. Explanation number one, mashlim le'otzinor dedasha means he would pay them by the door, by the threshold of the door. He would leave the money there. Yeah. Soon I'll explain everything. I'm just translating first. He told them, Ashur haya. Get strong quickly, strongly and quickly. Ashur, like asher, ishur, haya. Haya means quickly in Aramaic. What does it mean? Pshat number one of Rashi, he would go to the stores and he would pay them. He was a choshev person. This is, you were talking about Rabbi Abba. He would go to all 13 butcher stores, buy meat from each one, leave the money by their door instead of them coming to him maybe, and would tell them, Yalla, you get on with your work and sell for more people. You butcher store of Shabbos, you have to sell to all the Yidden. So come, get my money quickly, give me the meat quickly, and go sell to others. The other pshat was the other way around, that they brought it to his door, they brought it to his doorstep, like a delivery from Best Market, from wherever. So now they would bring the meat order or the meat delivery order to his door, and he would tell his meshosim, he would tell his servants, Ashuhaya, Yalla, guys, get on with it. And he would stand by the door, receive the order, and the kitchen staff would quickly get it back and forth in order to make sure there's a lot of food being prepared the entire Shabbos nonstop. Why the number 13? So I'm already telling you now that Rashi will tell us later that 13 is just an exaggeration, and when the Gemara wants to exaggerate, it uses number 13. That's what Rashi says. Bekitzer, it means many butchers, lav dafka 13, it could be 7, 8, whatever. That's what Rashi says. Maharsho is very unhappy with that. We're going to see a very, very, very nice pshat of the Maharsho later on regarding why 13. Half a dinar is not cheap. Sela is the biggest coin, dinar is the second biggest, and half a dinar is, for a piece of meat, it's quite a lot. It's not the most expensive, but it's whatever. I don't know. It's very hard to measure it in today's. I don't remember. I did Kiddushin last year. It's all a lot of money. Then I don't remember. Weiter. More stories about how the Heilige Amoraim would prepare for Shabbos on their own by themselves. Rabbi Abo, the famous Rabbi Abo. Rabbi Abo was a very choshev mensch. By the way, Rabbi Abo wasn't only in Heilige Amoraim, he was also important in the eyes of the Goyim. Yeah, he was in Caesarea. He lived in Caesarea near the Caesar, and it says when he would walk out of his house, and all the, I don't know how halachically that works, but it says in Sanhedrin Daf Yudalef, the Mudalef, the women of the Caesar house would sing for him. I don't know, maybe he locked his ears, but they were machshivim. As a choshev person was like a rabbi, obviously a heilige person, and also choshev in the eyes of the Welt. Yeah, and look at that. Rabbi Abo himself, the man himself, have a Yosef ataktika deshina. He would sit on a very special stool made out of ivory, shen, or some say on a very special wood. He would sit on that choshuv, a kind of piece of furniture, and he would create the fire. You know, back then, before matches, they would have to somehow create fire like that, whatever. He would make fire while on a special chair to show that when I prepare for Shabbos, I may have a special chair for the preparations. The preparation for Shabbos, the choshev on their own, I have a special fancy chair where I sit when I prepare the Shabbos light. You should know, Lamaisa, not everyone knows, but you learn halacha, you see that covered Shabbos is mostly on Friday, not on Shabbos. Oinik Shabbos is on Shabbos, yummy food, but covered Shabbos is mostly before. You mechabed Shabbos, the things you do before. You clean, you prepare, you get dressed, you go to Mikdolah, covered Shabbos. Sure, your wife lights candles for both, covered and oinik, yeah? Lighting Shabbos, by the way, it's very nice. The Shabbos candles is the meeting point between Kvod Shabbos and Oinig Shabbos because you have both. Ner Shabbos have both Koved and Oinig because that's the border between the Koved of Friday and the Oinig of Shabbos. I think Rabbi Davidovich told me that. I'm not sure. Rav Anan, more stories. Rav Anan Lovish Gunda. Rav Anan would actually wear very black and simple clothes that like work clothes that you don't mind that would get dirty. They can get dirty and you're okay with that. Why? The Tana Devel Bishmoel, as we learned in Daf Kuf Yudaled, Begodim Shabisha Ben Kder LeRabbi, Alim Zug Ben Kois LeRabbi. The same clothes that you cook the broth for your master, you don't pour the fancy wine in the same clothes, which means you have to have work clothes and you have to have, official, formal, fancy clothes. And that's the point. Davka on Friday, one second. Davka on Friday, he would make sure to wear simple clothes to show I'm working hard. I'm doing physical work. I'm wearing my blue shmattery clothes to show this is dafka today, work day. Because now I'm just working hard like a lavdil black worker, blue collar worker for Shabbos. Interesting, which is different than Rabbi Abo, right? Which dafka would sit in the fancy chair. Different anhogas. Yeah.
Also with Makabed working hard, it's also Makabed Shabbos.
Mm-hmm. They're both Mechabed Shabbos different ways, right? Rav Safra Machich Reisha, this is famous also in Kiddushin. Rav Safra would scorch, would like not burn, how would you say it? Roast. Rav Safra would roast the head of the Reisha, the head of the keves, of the lamb. Rove Molech Shibuta, Rove would salt the fish, type of fish, Shibuta. Rav Huna Madlik Shragi. Now that's interesting. Rav Huna would light candles. Okay, last time I checked. Who's supposed to do that? Women, not Rav Huna, right? Rav Huna is not a woman. Chlila is a man. So the explanation is two explanations. First of all, Rav Huna, the Malshol points out in Daf Chaf Gimel, I think, Chaf Gimel Amud Beis, Rav Huna is the one who says that both men and women have to light. How do you do that? The man prepares the candles and the wife lights. That could be pshat. Or I saw in one of the Achronim, he says, no, he would light the other candles, and the candles that are the Shabbos candles for the meal, the wife would do. The other candles he would light. Some people do that. The husband turns on the light with Afka. There's some people do that. Rav Papa Gadil Ptilta. Oh, Rav Papa is more clear. He would Gadil Ptilta. He would how do you call it? He would spin the wick to prepare, I guess, for his wife. Rav Chizda Parim Silka. Rav Chizda would chop the beetroot, if that's what silka means. It sees the beetroot or the spinach, the vegetables. He would stand in the kitchen. Rav Chizda himself from the Gemara, he would cut and would dice the vegetables. And Rabbi Rav Yosef matzlich tzivi. Rabbi Rav Yosef would cut wood for the firewood for Shabbos. Rabzer mitzatet tzituti. Rabzera mitzatet tzituti. He would actually light the small, make fire. They would cut the fire. Mitzatet lahatzit. You know it's lahatzit in Hebrew, to ignite, to turn on, to light fire. He would light the fire for warmth, for light, whatever that is. Rav Nachman bar Yitzchak, Mekatef ve'ayin, mekatef ve'nofik. Rav Nachman Yitzchak would have a big balagan over there. He would on his shoulders, be'erev Shabbos, all the time would bring in and out masuos klei tashmish ubigdei choifesh megodim. In other words, he would be very busy to bring in and out all types of Shabbos goods, to bring in the clothes from the other room, to bring in food. He would personally, on his shoulder, carry all the Shabbos goodies, whether it's clothes or whatever that is. He would, in person, make himself very busy preparing and bringing stuff from Shabbos, in honor of Shabbos. Omar, and he explained himself. Because what's the question over here? The question is that there is a concept here of what? We're learning it in Elo Metzias. And a Choshev Talmid Chacham is not supposed to always be misbaz, and not even for mitzvahs. Let's you find an Aveda in the street. You find a lost object in the street and something that's very heavy, or a dog, or something that's not doesn't, it's not respectable for a respectable person, for a dignified person to carry. So he's not supposed to carry that. Maybe Knesset Kaddish is not mechuyev. So why is it different over here? Why did all the Amoraim do all these menial works, all these menial jobs? Why did they do it for Shabbos? There are about 3 answers in Achronim to that. But listen to what they themselves are saying. What does Menachem Yitzchak says? He says, "Ilu maklin li Rabbi Ami v'Rabbi Asi, milu machtifna kamayu." If Rabbi Ami v'Rabbi Asi, which by the way lived in a different country, if Rabbi Ami and Rabbi Asi from Eretz Yisrael, if they would come here, he lived in Bavel, yeah. In other words, if they would come here, Mila Machtifta Kamayu wouldn't have worked hard for them. Kovad the Torah. In other words, Zokan Venel Fikvoidoi means me vis-a-vis the regular guy in the street. Says the big Talmud Chacham, I'm not mechuyev to lower myself to his darga. It's not good for the hierarchy of the nation. It's not good for Torah. But for Talmud Chacham to lower himself vis-a-vis a bigger Talmud Chacham, yes, it is Kovad the Torah. It's not my kovet. I'm supposed to say it's kovet the Torah. But if Rabbi, 25 years old, is machne himself to Gadol Ador, that is very good. Yeah, menially the same thing as Shabbos. Shabbos is greater than the Talmid Chacham. Mishen Kenyana is not. Shabbos is like a great person. Yeah, And calls Achnis Bekal B'Chaimer that the Talmud Chacham is supposed to be Machni himself in honor of Shabbos and not in honor of lower people. That's one answer. Vikadamri, some say, Rabbi Ami Rabbi Asi Mechatfi Vayla Mechatfi Venafki. The same Rabbi Ami and Rabbi Asi that in the previous version they were the great Rabbanim. Now they're the ones who behaved like porters, like schleppers. They would bring in and out all the Shabbos kelim. Amri, and they said, Ilu Iklan and Rabbi Yochanan. Oh, Amir Muchtefin and Kamei. In other words, they were famous Amoraim in Eretz Yisrael. They were Talmidim of who? Rabbi Yochanan. And they said, if the Rebbe would have come here, of course we would have served him and be very servile, very submissive towards him. So too we have to be in honor of Shabbos. Shabbos is not less than a great Talmud Chacham. And therefore, even Talmid Chachamim are supposed to be mechnia themselves in honor of Shabbos. Now comes the famous story, Yosef Mokir Shabbos, Yosef Mokir Shabbat. Oh, here it comes. Here is the source. Let's see if the kindergarten teacher was right or not. Yosef Mokir Shabbos. Yeah, Yosef Mokir Shabbos. Yosef was a person who was Mokir, he was mechabed, he always respected and always bought nice food for Shabbos. Right? So what I always heard was it was a poor person. Apparently, from the second part of the story, it sounds like that he wasn't very rich at the beginning. It sounds like he was not so, swimming in it, but he would always buy nice stuff for Shabbos. There was this guy in his neighborhood, which had a lot of money. Yeah, the guy was well-padded millionaire. He had a lot of nechosim, tuva, okay? So the astrologists, what did they tell him? The Choizim B'Kechovim, the stargazers, what did they tell the rich man? Kol Yosef Mokir Shabbos, kol of yours, all of your assets, nechosim, Yosef Mokir Shabbos, achi lehu. All of them, Yosef Mokir Shabbos, he will eat them. And according to the Maharsha, he already ate them. In Shemaim, in Ruchnius, they already belong to Yosef Mokir Shabbos. Yeah, achil is loshan hoive. It's present. In other words, b'shemaim already nigzar. They know what they're saying. Up to a point, it's true what it says in the stars. We are above the stars. That's all word, but it's not complete shtriot. Yeah. So basically, they saw something happening in the Lama Selena to their level. They saw something that really the money of Yosef Mokir, the guy already goes to Yosef Mokir Shabbos. Ozal. So what did he do? Now the Maharsha says the Kodesh Baruch Hu put machsheves shtus in the brain of that guy. In order to Yosef Mokir Shabbos should get all the money which he deserved, right? So Kodesh Baruch Hu made that Akum think of a very seemingly smart but really silly plan. Zabdinu l'kula nichsi. He sold all his assets. Zoban b'marganisa. And he bought with the money that he had one diamond because it's much safer to keep. Yeah, it's much easier to keep one huge diamond or one very, very expensive diamond instead of his Tesla and the big house and the swimming pool and the tennis court. Yeah, all that is sold for one barganisa. And he put it in his hat. Yeah, he set it in his hat. So Rashi said he didn't really sell everything. He sold it a nice hat with some golden ornaments, and in it was that diamond, but that looked as if, stam a diamond on the hat, a feather on his cap. When he was crossing the Mavre, which is either a raft, going in a boat, which is Mavara, some say it's a bridge. The Kitzer was crossing the river. What happened? Afriche Zika. Came a wind. Zika is wind. The wind came and he just blew it. Shadye b'maya and fell into the water. The hat fell into the water. Bale kavra and the fish swallowed it. A fish swallowed it. Askua, the fishermen brought up the fish. They fished the fish. Aisua apani de malishapsa. Happens to be when they brought it to town in order to sell it. It was Friday afternoon. The same words we used before. Apani de malishapsa. Like Friday afternoon. Yeah, as I told you before, Apani de malishapsa is not Leil Shabbos. It's Friday afternoon. Like last minute. Amri, but then they told themselves, Manza bin Kiashta, who's going to buy it now? Does your wife buy fish Shabbos Friday afternoon? Hope not. It's in the oven already 2 hours ago, right? Yeah. It's Friday afternoon. Who's going to buy fish right now? Amri lahu, so people told them, the people of the neighborhood, they told the fishermen, no, we have a client for you. Zilu, go, amtiyu legabe Yosef Mokir Shabbos. Go bring it to Yosef Mokir Shabbos. The Ragil Dezabin, he always buys nice food for Shabbos. He doesn't care. He has one gefilte fish, now he's going to get the chraima. He's going to get more fish. He has salmon, he wants to have carp. He'll have more. He'll always buy more for Shabbos. He'll invite more guests. So he's the good customer. And so it was. Amtiyu and Yale, they brought it to him, Zabne, he bought it, Kare, and he tore it apart. Well, in order to prepare the fish, you have to cut it. He cut the fish. Obviously, the one, yeah, the guy that was the big choishish. You see what happens if you're ready. The Maharsha said, people, a man stracht and got lacht. He has all these plans and hats and things. The Kosh Baruch Hu made fun of him, and he lost all his money that way. People sometimes overthink and plans. So Bakitzer, he lost all his money because of his over hishtadlus. What happened in the end? Now Yosef Mokir Shabbos in his kitchen, whoops, he's tearing apart the fishy. Ashkach Bey Marganisa, he found the very nice diamond inside. Zabne Betlesa Elisa Dedinoi Dedahava. Whoa. He sold it and received in return, he got for that diamond 13, according to Rashi, Elisa's 13 attics, 13 rooms full of gold coins. Oh. So Rashi says, well, that's an exaggeration, and usually the number 13 comes to exaggerate. Now, Tosfos says Elisa is like a kli, a shem kli, a jug. So that's more possible. Not 13 rooms, 13 jugs full of gold coins. Okay, that's not as exaggerating. Now,
Anyway, it's still a lot.
it's still a lot. Yeah, it's still a lot. It could. Many people wouldn't mind having 13. That's true. Jugs of gold coins. Before I go into the Marsha and the 13, let's continue for a minute, and then we'll go to the Marsha. Pogabehu Saba. Then that old man, some say Leonovi, that Saba, old man, Talmud Chacham scholar, Leonovi, whatever, some choshev person, met Yosef Mokir Shabbos. Omar, and he told him Yosef Mokir Shabbos, Mad Yosef Shabta, Pare Shabta. This is the thing we live by, the dogma we live by. The one who Yosef, the one who borrows for Shabbos, Shabbos will return the loan for him with ribi ribis. In other words, it does sound like Beganenis was right, and Yosef Mokir Shabbos was poor, although it doesn't say it. But I guess, I don't know if it was dirt poor, but he had to borrow for Shabbos. And this is halacha. Yeah, Resh Mem Gimel, the beginning of Hilchos Shabbos, it says that one has to borrow for, it's not such a good thing to borrow money. It's time for your next trip to, I don't know, Bulgaria. I don't know if you have to borrow money or to buy a fancy sofa. I don't know. But when it comes to Shabbos, yes, there's a shayla in halacha if you know how to return or you samich on Hashem, to what point. But be'etzem, to borrow for Shabbos, levu alai v'ani porea. And here's the source. Yeah, in other words, we see the Yosef Mokir Shabbos borrowed money and he got it back, kefil kiflaim, much more. Now, what about the business with a 13? Yeah, what's with a 13? So Maharsha says it's not an exaggeration. Yeah, Maharsha is very courageous, sometimes arguing with Rishonim, going Vilna style. And the Maharsha says, no, if we were looking for exaggeration, we would have said like 10, 100. 13 is a very specific number, right? When you want to exaggerate, you say million or 100, right? Oh, I've seen him 100 times. I told you a million times. You don't say, oh, leave me alone. I told you 13 times. All right? You don't say that. 13 is too specific to be a number of exaggeration. So the Maharsha says that 13 we know is a very choshva number in Yiddishkeit. 13 is what? Is echad. Right? The Gematria echad. 13. And it's a 13 midas of rachamim. And when a person is mashlim 13 years, each one connected the midah becomes bar mitzvah, Yud Gimel. So Yud Gimel has a lot, Yud Gimel midas, shel hachamim. They all have to do with echad, with oneness, with the unity of Hashem. Then he directs us to a very beautiful thesis in Chagiga. I just saw it now in Daf Gimel and the best thing Chagiga. I just saw it a second before the Shir that there are three that made one on the other. HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Shabbos and Yisrael, each one is made on the other. Hashem and Klal Yisrael are made the Shabbos is a special day. Shabbos and Klal Yisrael, they testify that Hashem echad, and Shabbos and Hashem testify that Am Yisrael is echad. So you see, and that's why we say in Shabbos afternoon, Ator echad, v'shmocho echad, ומקם חסר גוי אחד בארץ, 3 אחד. In other words, the idea of Shabbos is to be completely united with Hashem. Hashem, us, and Shabbos are all in one perfect unity. And that unity, Echad, is 13. And that's why 13. And that's why Yosef Mokir Shabbos, and also when we spoke about Rabbi Abba, who bought for 13 coins, he was Mechaven Kavonas Elyonos. Him and Yosef Mokir Shabbos had in mind, we want to unite with Hashem. And that's why Hilchatchila bought from 13 stores. It was Dafka 13 stores. Yeah, and Yosef Mokir Shabbos, he got 13 Elisa. Hashem showed him it's all one beautiful unity of Hashem, us, and Shabbos. That's what 13, Keneged Echad. That's Marsho and others. Weiter. Boy minei Rebbe Shmuel bar Yossi. Rebbe asked Rabbi Shmuel bar Yossi, Ashirim sheberetz Yisrael, b'men zoichin. Those who become rich, those who live in Eretz Yisrael, what grants them? Which zchus is it that they have? Why did they merit to be rich? Omar lei b'shvil shemasrin. Because they take meiser, we always think meiser money. We don't live in an agricultural society. In Eretz Yisrael, that's what they give meiser from the food, right?
So to give it to the Levi?
Yes, Levi, Kohen, right. Levi, meiser goes to the Levi, true. But Yerushalayim, meiser sheni, meiser oni, sheneemar. It says aser teaser twice. Aser teaser. Aser b'shvil shetit Aser b'shvil shetit twice. Aser and asher are very similar. Depends where you put the dot. You take meiser, you become rich. And by the way, when it comes to meiser ksofim, it says it says it about meiser. It says it about meiser. I'm sorry about that. Yeah, we have Yishai Revoy in the background. But basically, the point is, Hashem says, you can test me. Hashem says, give meiser, and I'll make you rich. And you have so many stories where people give meiser and choimesh. And when you give choimesh, Hashem at some point, very soon, will make you much richer. That's mamish boduku menusa. It's true. You get all of a sudden more money when you give meiser and preferably choimesh. It works. Weiter. Now, so that's very nice. That's, it's Israel. Now, shebeBovel b'mayin zoichin. In Bovel, there's no meiser. Assuming meiser over here doesn't mean money, if meiser means giving from the fruit and vegetables, b'darabanon, in Bovel, there's no meiser. Right? So what's their schus to become rich? What's the ticket that gets them to wealth? Omar Lei, he told him, Rabbi Shmuel bar Yossi told him, they respect Talmidei Chachamim. Bovel is the very, very big Torah center, as big as Eretz Yisrael, right? Bovel was Lilmod Lelamed, as it says in Kiddushin, Memtes Amud Beis, it would also teach others. And the Balabatim over there, they gave koved to the Torah, the Mechabed Torah, the Rezoicha to wealth. What about people in other countries? If you don't live in Bovel, you don't live in Eretz Yisrael. Meister, you don't take. If you don't live in Bovel, you don't see Talmidei Chachamim. You'd like to love them, but they're just not around. You live in Wichita, South Dakota. Who are you going to be Mechabed exactly? The rabbi in the internet? What? Omar Lei, so he told him, Bishvil shemechabdin Shabbos. Wow. So Koved Shabbos is what grants you Ashirus. Koved Shabbos as of itself is the reason to become rich, as we said before. We become like Yaakov Avinu, Nachla bli Metzorim. Mechabdin Shabbos, by the way, it's very, very nice. I saw in one of them, I don't remember who says what, but I saw in one of them before Shim, Mechabdin Es Shabbos. Mokir, not Mechabed yourself. Meaning it's not from my stomach. I'm eating really for Koved Shabbos. The Kavod has to be really, I'm trying to tap into a nicer day for Shabbos, for Hashem. Not just for my boich, not for my stomach. It's very hard. Yeah, but the idea is you mechabed Shabbos, and then you get nachla bli metzorim. You don't think of business on Shabbos, you unite with Hashem, and then Hashem on his side will just open all the borders for you, and you can become mega rich. Another story to affirm what we said. One time I was a guest by a Balabais in Ludakia. Ludakia is today in Syria, I think by the coast, if I'm not mistaken. Bekitzer, Ludakia is not in Eretz Yisrael, it's too far north, and it's not in Bovel. It's too much to the west. So Ludakia is one of those places that can't give Meiser, and there's no Talmidei Chachamim. Because, in the boondocks, far, far away, down and out there. The view of Shulchan Shel Zahov. Wow. They brought in front of him a golden table. Masu Shishasa bnei Odom, and 16 people had to carry that table. And by the way, the Meforshim point out that it was very rare back then, because back then each person had a small table in front of him. They didn't sit by tables like we do. They would lie on the side, a small table. Here's this humongous table carried by no less than 16 people. The 16 chains of silver are set in it, yeah, all from all sides. The ke'orois, the koisois, there's plates and koisos, all the cups, the kitoinios, the one kind of bottle, the tzloichios, another kind of bottle. Yeah, they're all set in it. In other words, the table was very, very nicely set, very nicely laden. Unbelievable, terrific buffet, almost like an American smorgasbord. Yeah, all types of food. Megodim. What does it say, Megodim? Migdonis, this week's parsha. Yes. Eliezer, Avram Zeved, gave them Migdonos, Megodim, Rashi says Migdonos. He gave them nice fruit, and Meretz Esod, B'somim, the aromatic things, unbelievable table. Ukshamnichim oisoi, when they put the table, when they placed it in front of everyone, Oimrim Lashem Ha'atzum Le'o, they would say, the people, Hashem Ha'atzum Le'o, because everything belongs to Hashem. When they take away the table, when they took away the big table, that is to say, they would give it out, they would divulge it to the smaller tables, and then people would start eating. And when they made the bracha, they said Shemaim Shemaim Hashem v'atzon sal v'nei Odom. If you're familiar with the Gemara at the beginning of 6 parak and brachas, makes a lot of sense, because it says, why do you make a bracha? Haaretz is all belongs to Hashem, and then it says, when we make a bracha, then the arts not b'nei Odom. It only belongs to you, and you made the bracha. So he was also careful with brachos, right? Amarti loi. So I asked him. Mokir Barabba asked that millionaire, Bni, my son, how did you get there? You won the lottery. You invested in good stocks. How did you make it? Amarli. So he told me his story. He told me his life story. I was a regular, simple butcher. I was a butcher. When we call no, any animal, any piece of meat which was nice, which was zaftig, amarti, I would say zoter Shabbos. This one would be for Shabbos. The Gemara in Beitza says that's the midah of Shammai. Whenever they would see something nice, even during the week early, they would say this one is for Shabbos. So now, right, they would wait for Shabbos unless it's going to go bad. Yeah. He says very nicely, one of the Meforshim, the menially, he was a butcher. So he could easily say, okay, today's Tuesday, I'm seeing a very nice piece of meat, but I'm a butcher. I'm not a balabos who goes to shop in the market. I see meat in front of me all the time. So maybe I should sell this and hope for money, kesef, geld, and on Thursday, I'll probably find a nicer one. It's a bigger nisayon, because he has meat in front of him all the time, and yet he didn't do that. He didn't make chishboinus. He said, that's a nice piece of meat, I'm keeping it for Shabbos. He didn't say, okay, I'll sell it, make quick cash, and later I'll find a nicer one. No. He said, no, I'll do it straight away. I'm not Chalila paskening here between the Basham and the Basilan, but the beautiful thing is he was a butcher. So for him, it would make more sense to, yes, make the cheshbon. He didn't make cheshbonis. He went between us with the Kodesh Baruch Hu. And this way he became very rich. Amarti loi. So now I told him, says Mokir Barabba, Ashrecha shezachita, u'baruch hamokim shezikcha lekach. Ashrecha, that you were zoiche, and Baruch Hashem, there was mezaki you for that. Okay, we'll stop here. It's 5 to 10. Or continue. I'm not staying for Myron, but you are, right? You're staying for Myron? Yeah? Can I yell? Continue 1 more minute. Amalei, this is a very famous one. Amalei Kesar, the Rabbi Shimon Hanania, Caesar, the Roman Caesar told Rabbi Shimon Hanania, even a guy, Caesar, could feel that the tafshil shel Shabbos is very aromatic, very, the smells really good. The reach, goes all over and imbues the air with a beautiful, infuses, the air with a good smell. Amaloi, so he told him, Tavlin echad yesh lanu. We have one spice. V'Shabbos shmoi shanim etin l'toicho v'recho noidef. We put the Shabbos in it, and therefore the smell goes all over. You think he's lying to him? He's not. There is a tavlin, the Meforshim say, called Shabbos, and if you speak Hebrew, it's called shevet. You know there's such a right shevet. There's such a spice called shevet. It's like one of the green ones. So he meant shevet. He meant Shabbos, right? So they were playing a game of words. The tavlin. Omar lo ten lanu imenu. So it says, give me some of this tavlin. He thought he means the physical shevet. Omar lo, no, no, no. Kol meshabbos l'shabbos moiloi. V'shenesh meshabbos l'shabbos ene moiloi. I didn't mean just the physical tavlin. We put tavlinim, it's true. But the Shabbos itself, the keeping of the Shabbos, the fact Misham Shabbos, then the tavlinim, they work. Yeah, they do the job, they do the trick when we really keep Shabbos. If you're going with all the respect, you're not meant to keep Shabbos actually, but therefore you're not gonna get it right. If your wife will make cholent, Mrs. Mackenzie, Mrs. McKinley, Nishka, not gonna go because they don't keep Shabbos, and therefore the recipe will just not be the same. And they bring down B'Shem the Zohar, I saw that Be'emes Rech Machal Shabbos has a special taste. Yeah. No, shevet is, I don't know what it is, but I know that it's a green vegetable. It's a green tablin. Atzlacha bracha. Maybe we'll be zach now Shabbos. No, tomorrow's Friday. So let's get everything done. Get the food, run around, wear the right clothes, and get ready for Shabbos. Hopefully Shabbos, the Yom Shekula Shabbos Menucha. Thank you very much. Atzlacha bracha. Thank you to everybody who came here, and thank you to Me'am Loez who hosts us so nicely, and to Torah Anytime, and to those who watch us on YouTube. Atzlocha, thank you very much.